Welcome to That's So Us
with Ama
and Lo.
Join us every Friday as we talk about everything and anything.
From pop culture to mental health to life experiences.
Everyone needs a vent session, and we're ready to connect with you on so many levels.
Be ready to laugh and even cry. Grab some tissues and a drink.
And join us as we turn our 3 a.m. calls into this podcast. Hey everyone.
Welcome back to another episode. We love the awkward start.
I was like, let's not make it awkward, but I don't know. I don't know what about like starting it is weird.
It's starting and ending it. Well, no, it's because we've already been talking.
Okay, that's true.
Like,
that's true.
We just now press record. So
That's
it's
true.
like we have to, say hi all over again.
Yeah. Well, you could say your high and low in the week because I literally have not even thought about it and I have to think about what I did
Oh God.
the past week.
What did I do? I feel like everyone knows my low by this time. Like, I'm still sick.
Okay, what's wrong now?
I feel a lot better than before. Obviously, like my ear infection is gone, my pink eye is gone, but it's just I think the sinus infection is still there. It like never went away.
Ugh,
So
that's annoying.
I know I'm like still congested and my throat hurts.
No, congestion is the worst when you're sleeping.
No, it's the worst.
Like you have to sleep with your mouth like kind of open, or then like
with
you
your
can't
mouth
breathe.
open. I know, and then you wake up and your throat is all sore.
Yeah,
and it's the worst. So yeah, hopefully next week I'll have a different low because I don't know what's wrong with my immune system. Like,
well, hopefully next week you don't have a low because you'll be on vacation and then you'll come back. So hopefully there's no lows that happen.
That's true. I'm like, what if I'm still sick on vacation and like the weather's just gonna make it a lot worse? Because
then that'll be your low. I don't know.
Maybe it's like allergies. I don't know, man.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I've been taking Claritin, but it doesn't help.
No, same. I actually like have a doctor's appointment and need to tell her and be like, that's like my low too. Like, well, I've had like the worst allergies I've ever had. Like every year they're bad, but like this year there's just something about it. Like
so bad, right?
I like literally went outside for 0.2 seconds today and I came in, my eyes were like watering, my nose was like not okay. And like I'm taking Claritin every single day for the past like 2 weeks and like nothing helps. So I need to like ask my doctor if like there's something else I can do because like I can't do this anymore. Especially when you're wearing like mascara and stuff and your eyes are watering and then like you can't like really do anything and then it's so annoying.
It is. Ugh, we hate being sick.
Yeah.
But my high, I'm just looking forward to my trip because I leave on Friday.
Did you pack anything yet?
Oh no. You know me, I know.
Well, each time we have a trip we always say like
we're gonna pack early.
Yeah.
No. And I think I'm going for like 5 days, but I'm packing everything in a personal item. Which I said I was going to do that for last. I know, my last trips, because it's like the cheapest option. And then like for my last trip, like I bought like a suitcase. Well, I paid for a suitcase, but this time I can't. I'm gonna keep it in a personal item. So, but I think it's easier because it's like summer clothes, so it's like
exactly,
like lighter stuff. So yeah, we'll see. But I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's my high.
I have to think of a high. I really don't remember like what I do.
Dude, I don't even remember what I ate for breakfast today.
No, literally, like I have to think like what did I do yesterday?
Yeah.
Let me think. Oh yeah, we were on a podcast yesterday. See, I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, well that was our first like as like a duo.
Yeah. It was fun.
That was fun.
I guess I'll say that.
Okay.
Being on my friend Kayla's podcast yesterday was the high.
We loved it.
Yeah.
It was such a like candid conversations, like what we had.
I mean, her podcast is called Let's Get Candid, so
yeah.
Match the vibes.
Yeah, 100%. Today's episode,
we didn't do the card.
Oh, the card. Go ahead.
It actually matches the vibes of today's episode.
Oh, perfect.
So it is, what is something you believed as a child that isn't true? For me, I'll say, have your parents ever told you like in the car that you can't have that light on?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I thought they were going to get pulled over, like stopped by the cops.
Me too. I thought it was like illegal. Like I literally, funny. And I would turn it on sometimes and whatever I was doing, like I would try and do it so fast. So I was like, I don't need like to get pulled over or something. And it's not even true. Like, I don't know why like all parents came up with that.
No, that's actually really funny. I mean, apart from the kind of obvious, like, Santa Claus and
Mhm.
those things, like, I don't really have anything.
How did
So I'll
you
stick
find
with
out, like,
that.
Santa Claus wasn't real?
Actually, I think my oldest sister told me.
Mm.
Yeah, because I have 2 older sisters, so I was kind of always grouped in with them. So
Yeah.
but it was kinda like, low-key sad though, because like, she was, like, 14 and I was, like, still 10. So, I don't know what you would say to a 14-year-old, you probably shouldn't say to a 10-year-old, but I was kinda grouped with them.
Mm.
So, yeah, I feel like she told me, I think. But I think I was around, like, 9.
Okay.
Yeah, when I yeah, I think so. Low key, I
Sad.
forget though. I know, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. That was the question.
Okay, perfect. So for today's episode, I thought since we talked, like we dove into Madison Beer's book, the half of it last episode, and while I was reading, it was prompt number 3 that like really stuck out with me. So I thought we could just kind of talk about that prompt.
Mhm. Wanna read
So
it?
I'll read it, yeah. So it says, reconnecting with your inner child. Sometimes in the process of growing up, we fall out of touch with ourselves. It's important to try to reconnect with that inner child and all the things we loved instinctually before the world told us who we had to be. How did you define yourself as a child? As you've grown, how has that changed? Have you lost any interests or traits that you'd like to get back? What parts of yourself do you long to reconnect with? If you could write a letter to your inner child, what would you say?
That's
Ooh,
deep. What
I
like,
know,
what
it's
is
really
considered,
deep.
like, a child? Like, where does that end for the purpose of this?
What do you think?
I think, like, 12.
Okay, we'll keep it there.
You agree?
Yeah, 12, 13. Okay, let's do 13. I mean, there's literally a year, but it's like
Okay.
13.
Okay.
But okay, so how did you define yourself as a child? Or how would you define yourself?
Um, from what I remember and from what I've seen from, like, old videos, because my dad would, like, film everything, and, like, I will go
Mhm.
watch them sometimes. I used to be, like, a very, like, shy kid with, like, other people, but, like, with my family and stuff, like, I was, like, very outgoing and loud, which was, like it's weird to think about because I'm, like, the opposite now.
Mhm.
Um, but I think I was just very, like, free-spirited and, like, didn't have a care in the world until a certain age.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, that's how I think I would describe myself as a child.
Do you think that anything like what was that moment that changed? I feel like from like
Um,
being that child like innocence kind of vibe to like I don't know, like what changed?
the corrupted, uh,
Okay. Yes. Yes, exactly.
literally going to elementary school. So when I was 5 or 6, obviously, um, just so growing I don't really remember obviously when I was like 3, 4, or 5 much, but I
Mhm.
do remember going to elementary school and that was like when everything flipped for me. I went to a predominantly like white elementary school. So I like first of all like never felt like I fit in anywhere. And I was always shy too. Like I had really bad social anxiety since I was like 5 years old. Um in like settings with like a lot of people. So I just feel like I was always like that outcast kid. And that like led to like a lot of bullying because like I would never say anything because like I don't know. I just like didn't have it in me to do that. Like I remember so many things in school. Like I would let people bully me and I literally didn't care. I'd let people talk about me like all the time and I didn't care. There was this one instance in kindergarten, which is really embarrassing, but I feel like I've shared this story already with people or on my podcast where I was so like stressed to ask to go to the bathroom that I literally peed on the carpet in the
That no,
yeah,
yeah, that happened to me in 1st grade.
but like intentionally.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
I
Okay,
know.
well, we did the same thing. Like, yeah, like I don't know. I just it was really elementary school that like flipped it for me.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would say kind of the same. I was a very shy kid growing up. Very quiet, very just like I tried to be like a perfect child, like a perfect
Hmm.
daughter. Just because well, okay, also I want to preface with like no shade to my parents. I love
Oh
my
yeah,
parents.
same.
But I don't really agree with the way that they well, it's weird because, like, they raised great kids. I feel like, my siblings and I are, like, great human beings, but I just don't really agree with the way that they raised us from, like, maybe, like, 4 to, like, 11 years old. Like, that time was just a very, like, traumatic for me just from things that I saw, when it came to, like, discipline, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe it had a lot to do with, like, our culture because 'cause we're Hispanic, or maybe just because 'cause they're, like, older, like, the generations are different, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but I know, like, at the end of the day, it's like they disciplined us the way that they were disciplined, so
Yeah.
they didn't know any better, but I don't know, it left, like, a huge impact on me, and I feel like because of that, I, like, kind of was very closed off, very to myself, very, like I, like, locked myself in my room, like, all the time, like, even when I was little, I would do that, and I feel like I was, like, living almost in, like, constant fight or flight mode because I didn't know what, like I don't know, I feel like your parents always set the mood, like, in the house. So, like,
Yeah.
I would wake up not knowing what the
What
mood
kind
was
of day
gonna
it was
be
gonna be?
or, like,
Yeah.
what attitude people were gonna have or whatever, and so I was constantly, like, walking on eggshells around everyone. And again, no shade to, like, my parents, whatever, but me personally, I feel like it left, like, a huge impact on me, and, so yeah, very shy kid, very, like, reserved to myself. Even, like, growing up, I wasn't really comfortable being myself around my family even. Like, sometimes still to this day, it's, like, hard for me to, like, open up because of,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, what I experienced as a child, but
Oh yeah, I'm not open with
yeah,
my family at all. With
no.
like there's like things like I'll throw out there like randomly when like I don't know when I'm feeling like I don't know. But like
Yeah,
most of my life like is very closed off to them. Other than what they
mhm,
see on my like socials and stuff. Like,
right.
yeah.
No, I know my sister, like, once said, she was like, "You act so different, like, around your friends than you do with us," but I'm like, "Because I feel comfortable, like, with my friends."
Mm-hmm.
But and it's not that I don't feel comfortable with my family, it's just a completely different level of comfort. Like, I feel
Yeah.
but it's weird, and I can't really explain it, but it's like, for example, like, I don't cuss in front of my family
Oh my
because
god.
I
Okay.
grew up
Mm-hmm.
knowing that that was, like, something that I couldn't do, we got in trouble for it, whatever. My siblings all, like they're so bad, like, at it now, and my parents don't care, but, like, I just can't. I can't because I feel like I still, like, revert back to, like, my younger self,
It stuck with
and
you,
I'm like
yeah.
mhm, and it's even though I obviously, I'm not gonna get in trouble for it now, but it's like,
Yeah.
I don't do it, I don't know why, and my brother always makes fun of me for it. He's like, "Say this." I'm like, "I can't. I don't know why, it's so weird." But, like, I do in front of you.
Will you do it with like your siblings or not even?
No, not even my
Oh my god,
siblings.
that's
It's
so
so weird, I
interesting.
know. 'Cause I do it with you, I do it with other friends, whatever. It's just, like, part of my vocabulary in, like, everyday life, whatever,
That's
but,
wild how
like,
you
not
can
in front of my
you
family.
can like close like
Control
not do
it.
it. Yeah, because
I know.
I think sometimes I swear too much and then I'm like, okay, Amanda, like let's tone it back a bit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I wouldn't be able to control it. But I think it's like obviously I didn't grow up telling my parents to like fuck off and everything. Like I still don't ever do that. But
Yeah.
like I'll say like fuck like all the time or like stuff like that.
Mhm.
Because like my mom like swears in Italian a lot.
Mm.
And then like my dad doesn't really swear that much, but like my brother has the biggest like I don't know what the word is, but like he like is really bad,
Yeah.
like especially when
So
he's playing
bad.
video games and stuff. So then I'm just like, well, like if everyone else does it, why can't I do it?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's interesting.
You know, it's very weird. But I just feel like a lot of what happened, like, in your childhood sticks with you, like, a lot.
But I feel like you also don't actually swear that much in general,
Really?
or maybe I just don't realize it because I say it so much
Yeah.
myself that it's just like
Mhm.
normal.
I don't know, I feel like it just comes out. I guess it's not, like, too much, but I do.
Yeah,
It's just funny because like, my brother always makes fun of me for
yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know that.
it. Um, okay, we can move on to, like, the second. As you've grown, how has that changed? Well, you kind of explained yours
Well, like,
a little bit,
yeah.
but you can, like, talk more about it if you want.
Like, what is it referring to?
Um,
Like how have I
like the
changed
way
to
that
now,
you
or
wait,
like,
yeah, so like same way now as you were back then.
yes and no.
Mhm.
I'm still like really like introverted and shy. In general, like I can be in like crowds, and I obviously don't pee my pants anymore. But like, yeah, I feel like I'm very like closed off still because I'm a very big like people pleaser, and I don't like being perceived. I don't like when people have opinions about me, which obviously I know is gonna happen. I just don't like when they're bad. So then in my head, I'm like, if I don't speak, like no one can really have an opinion on me, which is obviously not true. But I just kind of try and keep to myself in certain instances. I know it doesn't look like that because I'm like chronically online and like talk to people, but like I don't know. I don't know like where I'm
I
going
think
at.
it's just different online though. Because I mean, I mentioned this yesterday on the podcast that we were on, but it's so like different talking to someone in person than it is talking to
Hmm.
a camera in your room by yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like completely different. And also when you're online, like replying to comments or texting people or whatever, it's like you're doing everything behind a screen. So it's not as like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. So I'm still
But
very introverted, I would say.
yeah.
People like tell me that I'm not, but I think I am. I get like very anxious in certain situations, and I can like control it now or like not make people know that I am, but like I am a lot of the times.
Hmm.
Like even at shows, like I get like anxious just by like being
Yeah.
with like so many people. But I've learned to like kind of control it a bit.
Mhm. I feel like I was definitely like that in like high school. Like it's so crazy. I feel like I'm so different from how I was in high school now. It's just like bizarre, but I was like the girl that you would see in like the back of the classroom or like the front, whatever. But like I was just like always to myself, like always. I never spoke in class. I really very rarely spoke to like friends in class or whatever.
Hmm.
I was a cheerleader though, so that kind of gave me like some form of like social interaction. But like outside of school, I rarely like did anything other than like practice and like work. But like hanging out with friends and stuff like that, not really. But yeah, very like anxious, just a very anxious person like all the time. And I feel like that's kind of when like the start of like my depression kind of was like pretty like prevalent.
Hmm.
So I was just in like a dark place during that time. But I would say now is different just because I feel like I've healed from like a lot of like my past like traumas.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I feel like also getting to meet new people and like actually doing stuff that like I enjoy and like I don't know, like concerts for examples, it just like I don't know, got me out of my bubble a lot. But I
Yeah.
also think college helped with that. Even
Hmm.
though like my experience wasn't like the best, I was a very like I was a very closed-minded person in high school. So like when I went to college, like my mind just opened to complete like it was like so like different. Obviously, it was like a switch, like flipped, like
When you say closed-minded,
so
like what do you
crazy.
mean by that?
Mm, well, my parents are very religious, so I was raised religious, Catholic. I don't really agree with a lot of the viewpoints now. Looking back at it, I'm just like, I don't know why I thought that way. For example, like I know, like when it comes to the Catholic Church, they're like pro-life. Like
Hmm.
I'm pro-choice, but I used to be pro-life. So like things like that completely like opened my mind in college.
Hmm.
Yeah. So even though it didn't like work out, I am like grateful for like the experience
Yeah.
because I don't know, it just helped shape me into the person that I am today.
Hmm. I think I was the opposite. I was very open-minded, and my parents also raised me and my brother a Catholic. So I was at church every Sunday and like did my like
Every
confirmation and
Sunday.
communion and all those things.
Yeah.
Went to Sunday school.
Mhm.
Oh my God, that traumatized me. But like growing up, so for people who may not know, I'm like bisexual, and growing up in church was interesting. Obviously, people didn't know, but I knew. And like hearing everything they would say about like, I mean, I guess it's better now, but like they were very like against like anyone in like the LGBT plus community. It was like frowned upon and stuff. So growing up, hearing that, but being like, oh, like what's like there's something wrong with me then was very like
Mhm.
interesting to like deal with. And then there's the point of like, do I tell my parents? I grew up like online. Like I was on the internet when I was 11, like searching up like weird ass shit. And I would like fall upon like no like really weird stuff. Um, anyways, I would like fall upon people's stories of like people that were like in like their family was religious, and like when they came out, like their parents like threw them out the house and stuff. Obviously, I didn't think my parents would do that, but then there's always that like little thing in the back of my head that was
Yeah,
like, what
like,
if I'm
what
on the street
if?
at like 12? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think growing up religious was very interesting, and also like, but I always had like the opposite viewpoints. Like even like with you saying that you used to be pro life, like I was always like pro choice the whole time.
Mhm.
And I just like didn't have the same opinions, and I was very like open minded. Like even when like transgender people, like that whole topic, like um I was very like it made sense to me, but it didn't make
Mhm.
sense to a lot of people. So I think
Mhm.
I just like grew up like very open minded, and I don't know if it's because I had access to the internet so young that like I was able to like see like a lot of different views. But then like I said, I went to like an all girl, I don't know if I said this before, but I went to an all girls um Catholic high school. That was a whole
Mhm.
other traumatic experience. But just like being placed in like this very like religious areas was traumatizing in a way, not because like anyone did anything to me, but just like hearing all these things and like always second guessing myself. That was like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. No, religious trauma is definitely real.
Hmm. Yeah.
Especially when you did, like, the whole, like, every Sunday, wake up, go to church or Sunday school,
Yeah.
whatever.
Did you like it
It's a
though?
lot. No.
Okay. Because
I
some
didn't
people
like
do. Some
it.
people genuinely liked it. I was just like,
Yeah,
oh, here we go again.
I just didn't understand it because the terminology was so, like, complex, and they didn't
Did
dumb
you
it
have like the
down.
workbooks?
Yeah, I had the workbooks and whatever, but it was just like, I don't know, it went in one ear, out the other,
Oh,
and
yeah.
not in regards to, like, the idea of God and stuff like that, like,
Hmm.
I believe in God, but, just everything else about it, I don't know. For me, like, when it comes to religion, it's like I feel like I don't need, like, a religion to tell me how to talk to God or what to do or what not to do. Like, I know a lot of religions are, like, very strict with, like, you can't do this on a Friday, or, like, you can't hang out with
Hmm.
your friends on Saturday or whatever, and I'm like, it's giving cult vibes. Like, I don't wanna,
Yeah.
like, associate myself with, like, that. So, I feel like at the end of the day, like, having a relationship for me, having a relationship with God is what's important, and I know how to, like, speak with him in that regards. I don't know.
Hmm. Do you
Like,
like pray? I feel like that's such a weird question to ask, but like,
I think for me, it's just, like, having a conversation with, like,
hmm,
another human, but obviously it's, like, an entity.
hmm.
Um,
See, like, yeah, I don't know.
like,
Like,
something that's just higher than me, but I do believe in God, so.
I don't know where I stand on that
Mhm.
personally, but I don't know. I don't know. Everyone around me like believes in God. I'm just like, I think I questioned like you would know. I like question a lot, and like I go like down like these like rabbit holes and like
Yeah,
stuff. So like part of me is like, yeah, and then the other part of me is like, but what if like it's actually like this? So
yeah,
like I don't know like what I 100% believe, because I have so many like different ideas of what could be real, and I
yeah,
don't think at the end of the day like my parents would always be, because I would ask them, I'd be like, how do you know that's true? Like, how do you know this happened? How do you
right.
know this person exists? And they'd always be like, well, like, you just believe. So I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna, like, I don't know what I believe.
Mhm.
And I think that, like, kind of, like, fucks with you a bit too. Because I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'll find out one day, I
I
guess,
know, right?
maybe.
No, I've definitely become like more of a spiritual person now, but I feel like there's definitely like similarities in religions.
Oh
Or like
yeah.
when it comes to spirituality, like crystals are like a big thing, right?
Mhm.
Like I know like my I think it was my dad. He was like why do you like crystals whatever? I'm like then why do you like pray with the rosary? Like
On
you're
a
just
rosary,
giving
yeah.
like a what do I want to say? It's like the same thing.
Yeah. It's just
Like
different versions of
yeah,
something.
exactly. Right. But you're like using it for the same I don't know. I don't know. It's very complicated and whatever, but
Yeah. No, I know
religious
what you
trauma is a
mean. Like,
thing.
yeah, like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a whole thing.
it is a whole thing.
And sorry, at my school too,
Mhm.
we would have like, because it was a Catholic school, we would have like every morning there'd be, I don't know what they were called, but we had like a student council thing in each class. I don't know what this person was called, but they would read like a prayer in the morning before we started class. And then like
Mhm.
once a month we would have like a mass where like everyone had to attend. It was just like a lot. And I was like, where the fuck am I? Like, what is this?
Yeah, I feel
Um,
like also if you like were raised like that as a kid, like constantly being like bombarded with you have to go to mass, you have to do this, you have to do that, or you have to learn whatever. And I feel like as an adult, it kind of like steers you away from that. Which
mhm.
if the whole goal is to like help you connect with God, then like I don't know. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Would
Yeah.
be very that'd be very hard growing up. Because
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
I grew up religious, obviously, but I didn't go to like a Catholic school, so like that aspect of it would be really, really difficult.
yeah. Do you still like ever go to church?
Mm, not like Catholic church. I've gone to a service before though. There's like a church close by, um, which is very like centered around like music is kind of like the center of it, I feel like, which I really like because obviously I
Mhm.
love music. And I just really connect in that way, so I really like it. But not very often.
Mhm.
Do you?
No, I only go, the only time my parents are like, I want you there is on Christmas.
Mm,
Um, so I go on
yeah,
Christmas, but that's about it.
yeah. No, like for Easter, I was in DC visiting family, and they went
Mhm.
to church. But I was like, they're
Oh my
still
god, yeah, I
Catholic, and
forgot that was Easter.
yeah, I was like, I'm gonna stay back. I'm gonna stay back home. And it turned out that it wasn't even like mass. It was like a vigil, I think it's called.
Okay.
Um, so it was like 2 hours long.
Oh, too long. Too
And I was
long.
like, absolutely not. I'm so like I'm sorry, but I'm glad I stayed home. Like I couldn't have sat through all that.
I know, I feel
Because
that.
also it's just like at least with the Catholic Church, it's just hard for me to understand. Like
There's
the
so many
way that the
people's
priests
names
talk.
too. Like,
Yeah,
oh
and the
yeah, I don't
whole
know what
like
they're saying half the time.
yeah, it's like they're standing and then you're kneeling and you're rising and you're all doing these same hand movements and it just feels
It's,
very culty to me. It's like you're
yeah.
like it's like a ritual. It feels
Mhm.
like a ritual and it's scary, low key.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of took a step back from
No, I
that.
feel.
Oh, have you lost any interests or traits that you'd like to get back?
I don't really know what I was interested in. Growing up. I feel like the one thing that I wish I can get back is being very like carefree. Because I am not that at all. And like I can
Mhm.
try to be, but like it's just fake if I am. Um, because I think I've just grown to be a person that cares too much about what other people think of me. And like obviously when I was a kid I still like cared about that, but like not nearly as much as now.
See, I feel like
Yeah.
I cared more back then than I do now. So I feel like I've kind of but I think this comes also with like healing your inner child. I kind of reverted back to or not even reverted back, but like connected with those parts of myself. So they're kind of
Hmm.
like they come out once in a while.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I have like glimpses of it and then I'm like, oh, and then it like goes away.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think, well, there's this one book, actually Madison said it on her live. It was like healing your inner child. It's like a workbook or something. I don't even know what it's actually called. I should probably check.
I bought a book. It's called The Mind, Body, and Score because of her. It's like healing your trauma.
Yeah, I know I have that one. I started reading it. Actually waiting in line at one of her shows. Okay, it's Recovery of Your Inner Child, the highly acclaimed method for liberating your inner self. So it's like a workbook, but like all the activities that they tell you to do, you have to do with like your non-dominant hand. So like
Okay.
the handwriting is kind of like childlike.
Mhm.
And I don't know, going back to like seeing what I wrote, it like makes me cry. It makes me so emotional because like I was really like kind of getting into all that like 3 years ago, I want to say, like when I was going through like a rough like time with my family. And I just saw like the other day I saw this picture that I drew. But it's so weird how like your brain works cuz like quite literally it was like I reverted back to like my childhood self
Mhm.
and I was like drawing and my drawing was just so sad and it made me so emotional. But it's things like that that definitely like help like
Mhm.
reconnect.
Yeah.
Shout
I
out to
feel that.
Madison for like sharing those books though, because
Yeah.
genuinely, like she gives the best book recommendations, and if it wasn't for that, like I feel like I wouldn't have really stepped into that like healing
Mhm.
like process.
I like journal, like, I'm, like, a big journaler, so I have, like, journals from
Mhm.
when I was, like, 13, 14, and I don't know if I can ever open those, honestly. I think it'd be very scary. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember there was this one time where I was sitting in my closet. I, I feel like I was like 8. I had this like purple like journal. It was in the shape of a purse.
Oh,
Actually, it was
fancy.
yellow, but I just remember sitting there, like, crying, writing in my journal. But it's so sad to think of, like, an 8-year-old, like, with those high of emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like, when I was younger, I'd be like I don't think I knew what, like, depression and suicide was when I was that young, but I remember I would sit there and be like, "Oh, like, if only there was a way to, like, disappear and stuff," and, like, that's so sad to think about, like, I had those thoughts when I was so young. Um, yeah, I don't know, it's kinda fucked
Mhm.
up.
I know, no, it really is. It's just so crazy. What parts of yourself do you long to reconnect with?
I don't even know, like,
Kind
if
of
I
be
wanna reconnect with anything. I feel like I was
Yeah.
just such a damaged kid because
Mm,
of so many things that I, like, bottled up. Like, I'm a very big, like I don't like to talk about things that bother me, so I like to keep it to myself until, like, it really, like, blows up in my own face or,
yeah,
like, that I, like, hold on to it too long that, like, it literally is just, like, too much for me to hold in.
yeah,
And I've done that since I was, like, younger. I think it also stems from, like, not really having many people to talk to when I grew up or, like, people that, like, understood what I was talking about because, like, imagine an
yeah,
eight-year-old coming to you being like, "I wanna disappear," like, they'd be like, "Okay, like, what are you talking about?" type of thing. So
yeah,
I think, like, that, like I don't know, and that didn't even answer the question, but I think that, like, stuck with me because even to this day, like, I don't like to, like, say anything. Like, if
yeah,
someone's doing something that I don't like not that I don't like, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, if someone's doing something that bothers me, like, I won't wanna tell them because I'll go back to, like, being young, being like, "That's not something that I should do," and
yeah.
it kinda just stuck with me to now.
I was just gonna say that I was like that too. Well, I still am. Um, but I think it all comes down to again, like your childhood. And like when I was growing up, like my parents, and maybe it is because they were religious, but well, it is. I don't know. I said maybe they like didn't think mental health was like a thing.
Mhm.
So I remember certain people in my family like would go to my parents telling them they needed help or whatever, like kind of saying like something along those lines. And they kind of always were like, "Oh, we'll just, like, pray, like, you'll be fine,
Mhm.
like, pray the demons away," whatever. So, for me, it was so hard to open up and be like, "Hey, like, I'm struggling," because I felt like I was just gonna get that same response of like, you're fine, just like pray and whatever, it's gonna be fine. But I knew in the back of my mind, I was like praying's all great and whatever, but like there's also something like wrong, you know what I mean? And I can't just like pray it away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that definitely was like a factor as to why I was like so closed off like growing up. Even now it's like I don't really like sharing my feelings with a lot of people. And it's like obviously it's gotten like better. Like I'm here like talking
Mm-hmm.
about this now, so it's obviously gotten better. But when I'm in like the feels, like in the moment, it's like hard to like talk to people.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
If you could write a letter to your inner child, what would you say?
I don't even know, bro. Like, I would say, I think there's a lot of backstory to what I would say, though. It's hard because I feel like a lot of the things that I like did when I was younger, I still tend to do sometimes. So it's like I can't be like, oh, like
Mm,
everything's gonna get better because like I mean it does get better, but I still struggle like to this day.
yeah,
Um and then I would also be like, oh, like don't care about what people think of you, but I still care about what people think of me. I think it's just hard to like think of that type of stuff for
yeah.
me.
I think it's hard too, because it's like everything that happened to me as a kid, the good and the bad, it made me the person that I am today. So it's like I wouldn't really change anything, even though like yeah, I went through shitty situations or whatever. It's like it made me who I am today.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. Well, I would say don't compare yourself too much to other people and don't really don't care what other people think about you. I know it's easier said than
Mhm.
done, but because at the end of the day, no one cares. Like embarrassment, for example, like I used to get so embarrassed like all the time for like no reason. I'm like, think about the last time that like someone's been like, "Oh, I'm embarrassed." Like no one says that out loud. You
Mhm.
just think it. And like you don't know when those moments happen for other people, so people don't
Yeah.
know those moments for you. So it's like such a mental game, but it's like I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that. But yeah, just don't care what other people think too much.
Yeah.
Um but I would give her a big hug. I would. I actually think having like a picture of my younger self like in my mirror has helped a
Oh,
lot.
cute.
Just because I always look at it and I always talk to her, which has helped.
Mhm. I've never done that. I don't
You
think
should
I
do it.
have like a younger picture of myself anywhere.
Do the little one of you in the
No.
chair. It's so
Oh,
cute.
that was
Your
such like that.
little
I was innocent as shit then. Like I didn't even have thoughts probably.
your bangs and like your bob, like it was so
Oh my god,
cute.
ew.
It's so cute. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'd just be like also don't conform to what other people want you to be. Be your own person and
Mhm.
don't be afraid to be judged by other people. Um
That's yeah. That's a little hard.
yeah, I know.
I think it's hard. I think like I don't know. I don't know what I want to say.
I think it's also hard just when you're like still in the process of everything and like healing and whatever. I mean,
Mhm.
healing is obviously not linear. I have bad days, 100%. There are days where I'm just like, uh, like, what's going on? But just knowing that, as cliche as it sounds, there is light at the end of the tunnel
Yeah.
at the end of the day. So just knowing that it's like, it keeps me going. But also just going to sleep at night, knowing that, like, oh, I tried my best today. And even if today was not a good day, tomorrow's still another day. Like, we have hopefully a lot of days to live and to
Yeah.
learn and
I hope
to
so.
heal.
I think I'm still like trying to figure myself out half the time, but that's
Mhm.
fine. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm so old. Like I should have like figured this all out about myself like so long ago. But then I'm like, hey, whatever. Like people are still 50, like trying to figure out like and work through their like traumas and stuff. So it's fine.
100%. No, like parents, for example, that's why what's the word? I don't know what the word is, but when it comes to like my parents and like how they raised me and just like my childhood and whatever, like I give them so much grace because at the end of the day, they're just human beings.
Mm-hmm.
It's their first time on earth too, like their first time living, even though they're obviously older. It's like their first time being parents, their first time having to deal with, teenagers and whatever. So they're gonna make mistakes. They're just
Mm-hmm.
human beings. I don't know, the minute that that I started seeing them as humans and not just like my mom or my dad's my hero, like
Mm-hmm.
so obviously you think of that whenever you're younger.
Yeah.
But like when you see them for who they are, it's like I feel bad sometimes because they also haven't healed from a lot of their traumas. Just because, I mean, like I said, my parents didn't believe in mental health, like, or thought that it was like important or whatever, like growing up. So that's the way that they were raised.
Yeah.
And they probably have things that they never worked through either. So it's like, it makes me really sad to
Yeah.
think about. But I hope that I'm like making the change for myself so that I could be that change for my kids because I don't know, I'm just gonna raise my kids differently than the way that I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
And
Makes
hopefully
sense.
teach them just differently. I don't even want to say better, but because like I like who I became.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just them differently.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I would definitely be more open about like mental health and stuff because my parents never spoke about that.
But I would make it like number one priority. Because also it's like if you're not okay mentally, like then you're not gonna be okay on the outside.
Exactly. Mental health is like number one, especially because, yeah, like all I've dealt with, like I don't want any, like not even if it's like if I don't have kids, like anyone to like deal with that because it's a lot.
Yeah.
And especially since, like I said, like I started struggling when I was like 5 or 6, like that's like, wait, like that's like 20 years now at this point because, like, obviously I'm not like 100% like okay over it now. So, like, that's like a long ass fucking time.
Yeah, it is. I also feel like there should be more emphasis on like mental health in schools because like I didn't hear any of that growing up, and I feel like resources would have been
Yeah. Well, I mean, in my
very
high school, we
helpful.
did have something, but like in elementary school, nothing. Well, we had like a guidance counselor, but it wasn't for like those things.
Yeah.
But in high school, I don't know if I said the story on this podcast or someone else's, but like, yeah, like, when I started self-harming, I was like 15, 16, and like someone told on me, and then they told the principal, and then the principal called my mom and all these things. And then the school made me go see the guidance counselor once a week, and I would go see her. And it was just like the weirdest like interactions ever. Like, I struggled with like an eating disorder and like eating and stuff like that. And like when I saw her once, she was like, "Oh, like you lost so much weight." And, like, that was the end of her sentence, and, like, at the like, when I was in the moment, I was like, "Oh, like, cool, yay," type of thing, but now that I think of it, I'm like, that's not something you say. Well, you shouldn't talk about people's weight in general, but,
Mhm.
like, especially that she knew. I was just like,
Yeah.
"That's so fucked up," because, like, I left there and I was like, "I lost weight," like, and people can see, like, I have to, like, continue doing whatever I was doing, which obviously wasn't good.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know where they found her, but she was not good.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, like they need to have better. I mean, I don't know now like how it is, obviously, because
You're right.
I'm not in high school and I don't really know anyone in high school, but I hope it's gotten a bit better because
Yeah,
I
I
feel
hope
like,
so too.
especially in this generation, like it's a lot more common to like deal with these things like at a younger age because of social media, I think.
Yeah. It's crazy though to me because a lot of people say that, but like my body image issues, for example, like started when I was like 13. Like I can actually pinpoint like when it started. But I was not on social media. I didn't have a phone at all. So it's just like so crazy to me that like things can even happen just based off of like what other people say about you.
Mhm.
Because like growing
Yeah.
up, and again, this is really common in like Hispanic households, I feel like, but like the nicknames that like my family members would have for me, like quite literally translated to like skinny girl. So like they would call me like flaquita, which literally skinny girl, or little skinny girl, or little girl, or whatever. So it's like constantly hearing those words. It's like I felt like I had to live up to that
Mhm.
expectation. Or people would always be like, um, "Oh, you have like such small wrists." Or I remember I think it was in third grade, someone said that I had twig arms. It's just like that stuck with me. And then people would
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, like you have long legs and you can model and do this and that." And I'm like, so I have to stick to this version of what people see me as.
Yeah.
But then it like turns unhealthy when it's like, you're developing into like your womanly body, whatever. And like you obviously change, especially when you grow up and you're like not that anymore, like the size that you were when you were like a kid. um, so that's when like I got into like really bad habits, whatever. But yeah, so it really didn't even start because of like social media. It was like other like
Mhm.
factors.
Yeah, no, for me, it was kind of a mix of both because, like, in like Asian cultures, it's like everyone's skinny, especially in Filipino cultures. Every woman is like skinny and petite and all these things. And I was when I was a kid. And then when I was started to be like 10, 11, like whatever, I gained weight and people would be like, oh, like you're pretty chubby for like an Asian person. And like it's just like weird that
That's
people would
so
say that.
crazy. Oh,
Yeah, and then,
100%.
like I said, like, that was, like I guess I was 10, I don't remember the exact age, obviously, but then when I got on, like, social media at such a young age too, like, um, we were talking about this yesterday, Tumblr was, like
Yeah.
I liked it because it was a good way to, like, figure stuff out, but at the same time, it was, like, one of the most, like, toxic places I've ever been on as along with Twitter, but, like, toxic in, like, mental health way because it was, like
Mhm.
eating disorders and depression was glorified on there a lot. Um, so I think, like, seeing that at, like, such a young age, like 11, 12, when, like, your brain is still, like, developing,
Yeah.
it, like, definitely altered my brain in, like, ways, I think.
Yeah. No, like those are like the peak like developmental stages, I feel like.
Mhm.
And when I guess it's a good thing that I wasn't on the internet because if I was and I had seen all that, like,
It fucks
yeah,
you up.
it really, yeah, it only
Like
perpetuates the situation. Like,
mhm.
it's so crazy.
Well, like I said yesterday, like, I learned how to give myself an eating disorder basically because of Tumblr,
Yeah.
like, all these, like, big accounts, they'd be like, "Oh, like, this is how, like, you get skinny." And in my head, I was like, "Oh, okay, like, this is how I'm gonna get skinny." And, like,
Mhm.
obviously, it was very, like, not good ways to, like, do it. But then it's, like, fucked up because, like, even nowadays, I obviously don't do those things, but there's, like, my days where I'm like, "Oh, like, I could just do that." But then, like, I
Yeah.
don't do it. But, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, sometimes your brain just, like, reverts to old habits.
Oh, 100%. I think that when you are someone who struggles or struggled with body image issues, body dysmorphia, eating disorders, it's always in the back of your mind. Like, it's never
Mhm.
it's as unfortunate as it sounds, I think that it's never actually, like, healed completely.
Yeah.
Um, so, like, even for me, there are days where it's, like, better. There are also days where it's, like, really bad.
Mhm.
So it's
Like,
just never.
I haven't worn a bathing suit
Yeah,
in, like, maybe 6 is exaggerating. Probably, like, 5 years, honestly. And the thought that, like, I might have to wear one, like, this summer, like, literally gives me such anxiety right now when, like, I don't know, it's, like, fucked up that, like yeah, I don't know
yeah.
where I
No,
was
like,
going
the
with that,
thoughts
but
are always gonna be there, which
mhm.
is it's just crazy to me. Like, I remember, like, in the past, I would think, why can't I just be normal? Like, why can't I just not
Yeah.
think like this? 'Cause I know, like, someone in my family, like, they would look at themselves in the mirror and they just, like just like a I hate saying normal, but they would just look at themselves like, whatever. For me, it's so different. I criticize every single thing about myself, and I look at
Mhm.
every single flaw. I remember before, like, this was in high school, every time I stepped in front of a mirror, I had to check my stomach to see
Mhm.
how flat it was. Every single time. And it consumes your life, and it's
Yeah.
so crazy, but it's just like you have to get out of that
Yeah.
headspace, but it's so hard, it's so
Yeah.
hard,
Well, like in
especially
high
when
school there
you're
was
doing it alone.
yeah.
Sorry.
In high school there was a time where like I had to like have no like literally no mirrors in like my room because like I would sit there for hours and like it's so creepy to think about, but I would just like stare at myself like for hours upon hours, like just like looking at myself and like I wasn't even like doing anything. I would just stare at myself for hours and like think about all the things that I wish like I could change. And then I'd get
Yeah,
up and like go on with my day. Like it just became like a routine type of thing, like you were saying.
yeah, yeah, no, exactly. Like, I also remember, like, in I think it was middle school, like, I was in Spanish class, and I would go around and look at every single student in my class, and I'd be like, "Okay, I want this of theirs, and I want that," like, whether it was, like, a personality trait or, like, a physical characteristic, like, I would do that, like, in class. Like, what, like,
Mhm.
12, 13-year-old, like, does that? Like, it's just crazy how my brain works, I guess.
Mhm. No, yeah. And I feel like so I still struggle with like body dysmorphia to this day. And I feel like a lot of people like don't understand what it is. I think they think like you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, like I'm so big and like that's it. But like for me, like as fucked up as this sounds, I don't really share this with anyone. But like walking in the street, I will look at people and then I'll be like, am I bigger than them or are they bigger than me? Which is so fucked up to like think about because I shouldn't be judging other people's bodies, obviously, because I wouldn't want people
Mhm.
to do that to me. But I do that all the time.
I
And
do it too. Yeah,
it's, like, sad because 'cause I'm, like
I know.
then in my head, like, every single person is smaller than me, which, like, maybe it's not the case, but, like, that's how I see it. And
Mhm.
then, like, I feel bad because, like, then people who are obviously, like, bigger than me, like, I'm not plus sized, I'm, like, average, I guess. Like, then if they, like, hear me say those things, it's probably, like they look at me and they're like, what is this girl on?" But it's, like, so hard to, like I don't know. Like, I don't think I've ever looked at myself and, like, saw, like, what other people see.
Other people see. Yes. Oh my god, yes. Yeah. It's just so hard, like, when you're dealing with that to, I don't know, like, see, like, the truest version of you, because like, you
Mhm.
have so many voices and so many thoughts, like, running in your mind, like,
Yeah.
it's so crazy. But I 100% can relate to what you just said.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up, but
Yeah.
glad we can relate, I guess. Not really, but yeah.
No, I mean, there's at least a little bit of comfort knowing that there's
It's, like,
someone
comfortable, but then
out in
it's
the
like I
world.
wouldn't like, I don't want you to think that way type of thing, like,
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, I
that's,
know
like, a
how
mixed
shitty it
feeling
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that went really somewhere else,
It went somewhere else. It
but
also
I
went
can, like,
deep.
talk about that for days.
Yeah, me too. I mean, again, like, tying it back, it all stems back from your childhood. I think that's how
Mhm.
everything is.
Yeah.
Because growing up being constantly told, I guess, not how I should look, but
Mhm.
I feel like I put that pressure on myself. I don't know. But it does just all stem from your childhood.
Yeah, 100%.
So healing your inner child is so important.
Yeah.
So, so important.
I think that's a good place to end off because
Yes.
I think, like, we can do a whole episode on, like, body stuff because like I said, I can talk about it for like probably way too
Yeah.
long, more than like a person should, but I think it's like important to like talk about it even though
No, I think so too. I agree. Shout out to Madison for this
yeah,
journal prompt. We got pretty
yes,
deep. If you want to look through any of the other journal prompts or read her book, it's Madison Beer, the half of it. It's a really,
yes,
really good read.
it is. Yeah, thank you for listening. Um we hope you enjoyed it. You can follow our Instagram and our YouTube and our TikTok. Everything will be linked down below. And we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.